Okay, let's finish up this problem around string manipulation and start getting to the total piece of this. If you recall from our assignment here, what we need to be able to do is increase our delivery costs, or basically enhance our delivery costs, and what we're going to be doing for 410 zip codes and 400 zip codes, and if applicable, uh, go ahead and add the discounts if they give us a valid promo code and display that discount and so on. So when it's all said and done, if I went in here and did an order and I had black gold shredded and brown chips, I had some pre-bags here, when I'm all done and I gave it a valid X1F in the third, fourth, and fifth positions, in this case here, my total would be 5170. My discount would be $5.17. That'd be 10% for that one, right? 20% for the other one. And then my total would be right like this, okay? So let's go in and see how I did this and kind of finish this up. For the most part, it was pretty simple. But let's go ahead and look at it. I always say things are simple and you all roll your eyes like, he always says it's simple, but it's hard for me. I understand. You're just getting started. Be patient with yourself. At some point in time, it will be simple. And so, as I said before, the remaining pieces of this to be able to do the discount and everything, to me, is on the total side. You may have placed it on a different side. I believe it's under the total side, dealing with all the money and so on. This is more displaying what we're doing. And then the total side, for me, was putting it all together. A couple things I added here. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead with the first one real fast, and then we'll get down to nitty gritty. Number one, the delivery cost, okay? And so my code for the previous one was, if it's 41042, it's $10, 41022 is $12, and then if it's the third one, whatever that was before, it's $15. I basically kind of ran the same type of code. I could have done this differently. I could have created a variable and stuck in 410 or whatever into it, or I could create Boolean flags. I just basically, almost in a lot of ways, just cut and copied my code and made it like this, okay, where I'm going to replace this right here, and I will then go ahead and undo this, and let's go ahead and get rid of this. Again, I did this before I started the videos, so you at least have a decent idea. You don't have to watch me code. And so back to my good old substring. All right, I don't have it on this one. I better put it on this one. It's not going to work. And so substring and 0, 3. So almost the same thing we did when we were validating. And in this case, 0, 3. There you go. And so once again, I'm looking at my zip code that I actually put in, and based upon that, if it's 410, if the first three characters are 410 or 400, one's $18, one's $25. Beautiful. That's all I really needed to do for that one. Nothing more. I just had to replace that code that I had there in this case. Once again, are there other ways of doing this? Probably so. I mean, you might think of more creative ways of doing this whole piece, but for the most part, we have this. All right. You might be asking, why isn't using constants? I could be using constants. For the most part, what we're going to discover later in this course is that all these numbers that we're dealing with, these costs, will be part of a database. We'll actually be calling in these numbers and playing around with as a database with this, okay? And so that way they can make changes to the cost without me having to go into the program and do it. So I'm not a big constant guy, just for the mere fact I don't use them very often. And most of it comes from a database. And like I said, by the end of this semester, you'll understand me saying that all the way through. If you have all these in constants, beautiful. No big deal. Love it. You're following what you've probably been taught. Okay? That's all good. So this is everything in regards to calculating delivery. Not that big a deal. Just use substring again. Don't overthink this. So easy to do, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Trust me, I've been there. Just think about the simplicity way of doing it. How do I get this down there? Oh my God, how do I know? Like I said, I could have maybe set a Boolean flag and say, that there was that there is delivery, and maybe set up another variable of which one I had. Or I could just do what I had before with the zip code and just look at that one more time and break it down one more time, and boom, here I am. All right? Okay, good. Where are we here? So we're getting through this thing. That's all finished. Now we just got to add these discounts. So to add the discount piece, I had to do a couple different things. Number one, under my button total order, okay, my main event for this, I did add a new variable called promo discount. Obviously, when I declare a variable, especially a numeric variable, it's going to be zero. So if there is no discount, it'll still be zero. Life will be good. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and calculate a discount. I'm going to create a function to do that. How did I do that? Once again, I just kind of did the same code that I had before in my validation. I checked to see, was there a promo code? If there was, cool. Did it meet the criteria? Okay, because I want to make sure that it met the criteria in this case. So I'm not really validating. I'm just making sure it met the criteria. Was it 7 digits long? And if it was, did X1F in the third, fourth, and fifth column? If it is, I'm going to give them a 10% discount. If it's not this one, but if it's C2P, I'm going to give them a 20% discount. They put anything else in there, it's going to stay at zero. And then I'm going to return that promo code. I had to pass that promo code down to my total order and my display. So now my total order, if you looked at my program before, I subtract the discount. All right, that's something new here too. And then on my display, all I did was add a little column or a little row for discount here and put that in there also. So it was literally a couple lines of code to do all of this. I didn't try to do too much with it. I decided that uh, I'm going to have its own function to calculate the discount. And again, if there wasn't a promo code, it would just go to the end and the discount will remain at zero, which is perfectly fine. When you declare a variable, it always is initialized at zero. And so everything would work out well there. All right. One other thing I did, I wanted to show you. Let's go back up to this piece right here. This is my displaying my products. If you recall from my previous video, when I put the black gold shredded in there, it didn't line up anymore with my columns, right? My column headings. So I went ahead and added one more tab to that. That still created a problem because everything except for black did not tab over enough. So what I needed to do was ask a question. Well, if I'm dealing with black, that I added gold in there, I only had one tab between products and bags, but everything else, I put two tabs in there. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So to make everything line up, I had to ask a question on my display, and this is how I did it. That makes sense. You may want to look at that and play around with it. Again, I welcome you to download my code, make sure and study it. Make sure you understand it. Just don't listen to the video or so on. Look at my code. I assume that you're doing so and you're incorporating some of the things I'm doing into your code, okay? And going from there. And again, all this is that if you remember the previous video, I'm going to say it one more time, when I put black gold shredded in there, it didn't line up to my headings. Okay, and so this is how I fixed it. I went ahead and actually added another tab, which was great. But once again, if I did red shredded, it didn't tab over enough between the bags, and so that's when I went ahead and I put this in there. So if my first 5 pieces are black because I had the word gold in there, I only had one tab, and then I added 2 tabs for the next one. Hope that makes sense to you. That's pretty much it on this program. As you see, we had quite a few enhancements, yet they weren't that much. And again, very consistent with how I go about using my string manipulation techniques in regards to, like I said, substring. You could use starts with if you needed to, and so on. So I didn't really make many more modifications throughout this piece. Use substring a lot, length a little bit, index of. I think that in one situation, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the goal of getting used to these functions, like anything, like any properties and so on. I've told you before, is to play with them. Okay, but make sure once again you're doing well in regards to your understanding of scope on variables, how this thing should lay out, and so on. One more thing, as I'm seeing some of your programs in here, I'm an old programmer. I've been around a long time, and readability is everything to me. So make sure when you're calling something, you call down. So meaning that if you're going to call a function or a procedure, that should be defined below where it's being called. It's really hard to kind of find these things, and I would do them in the order as you see here, get and validate input. So I do those first, and I have all those in that order that I actually called them. And then I got calculate product. They all were in a specific order going through it. Now, does it make it work any better? No, it's just more readable. And readability is everything. Once again, somebody has to maintain this. And I pick a few programs and I see you're calling something and I'm having a hard time finding it because it's actually was on before it many things up there, or there really wasn't any method for the madness of putting it together. Make sure everything's in a nice organized order consistently. So number one, it's easier for you to maintain and easier for that next person to maintain, and most importantly, easier for the teacher to actually look at your code. All right. All right, so that is string manipulation. Once again, hopefully it's not too hard. Now that you see this, keep playing with it. Sooner or later, it'll become easy. I promise. I don't want you stressing over it, but I do want to make sure you see how we use, again, looping in some of our situations, not so much in this problem, but the index particularly. If you have that down and you kind of understand those concepts, you should be good and ready to move on to our next topic, which is arrays. If you're still struggling a little bit with how to use some of the string manipulation stuff, I wouldn't stress too badly. Though I want you to understand it because it is a big part of programming, but it's not a major part of programming. You'll get it over time as more and more practice as you go through it. Okay? If you struggle with these problems, once again, enhance, look at these my solutions and go get them to work and watch them work. Once again, do your debugging and watch them work. That will really aid in your understanding. Okay? That's it.